Okay, we are live on PrepXtra Live, the post-game show. The second round is in the books, everybody. And boy, what a night it was for the San Gabriel Valley. Man, a lot of teams punched their tickets to the semifinals. A lot of teams saw their seasons end. We want to get right out. As you can see, I'm alone right now. Fred was down at Saddleback College covering Bishop Amat's win over Jay Serra. Steve Ramirez was out at Cal High tonight covering Lucerna's win over St. Francis. We're hoping to have Stevie in the studio very soon. But before we do any of that, let's go to Fred, who is standing by right now on the phone. Freddie, you're on your way back from deep in the heart of Orange County after Bishop Amat's 24-17 win to punch its ticket into the semifinals of the Pac-5. What do you got for us, Fred?
Unbelievable. I'm on the 5 right now driving home. I can't believe that you're on the set going solo right now. But that's the way it is when you start getting deep in the playoffs. You make road trips, and this is what you have to do. And with Bishop Amat, that game tonight at Saddleback College, on paper, it was a road game, but it was very much split with the fans. I mean, it was as much Bishop Amat's home game as it was Jay Serra's. And what a great night for the Lancers. I mean, they played big in all facets of the game. They're offense, defense. They got big turnovers. They're special teams. I mean, they converted 2 big punts in the first down that led to points. I mean, everything that could go right in this game tonight. We talked all year about, certain games they make mistakes near the goal line. Or you look back over the years, certain things wouldn't go their way in big moments in playoff games. Well, I think everything went right tonight. The stars aligned, and they just upset one of the best teams in the country. And they're going to be at Corona Centennial next week trying to play for that first title since 1995. This is their first trip to semi since 98. I've never experienced anything like this as a reporter covering Amat and see their fans and hear them chanting. I'll have some video up later tonight when I put it together, just some of the post-game celebration. It was pretty incredible.
Okay, so like Fred just said right there, Bishop Amat's first trip to the semifinals since 1998. And at this point, folks, you have to think anything's possible. Now, Freddie, you're saying a lot of things aligned tonight, the stars aligned tonight. Just looking at your tweets, though, it seemed like this was a game that Bishop Amat controlled. They were down 10-3, and then they win. Eventually they get up 24 to 10. I mean, are you saying they caught lucky breaks, or did it look like kind of how the score flowed that Amat just kind of dominated?
I wouldn't call it lucky breaks. I thought these teams. Look, Jay Serra's a great team.
Yeah.
They had to play great to beat them. There were momentum changes. Jay Serra took a 10-3 lead with a minute to go in the first half, and then Ryder Ruiz, who started and playing instead of Damian Garcia, and I don't think he's giving up that starting spot the rest of the playoffs. He was fantastic. He led them on an 80-yard drive in 52 seconds to tie the game with a great pass to Camargo, 10-10. Then Bishop Amat comes out in the third quarter. They get the ball. Ruiz feeds them on another drive. They go up 17-10. Then they get Trayvon Sidney gets an interception. They go and score. And it's 24-17. I mean, things that you have to do. 6 minutes left in the game. Here comes Jay Serra, trying to cut the lead in half and make it a game. And Bishop Amat gets a stop on 4th and goal to 1. They stop their big bruiser. 6 minutes left to take over. And from there, they're able to hold on. I mean, it's just things that have to happen in a game with 2 close teams. Take that here to Jay Serra. That's a great team. But I think Amat's showing to everyone that they're as capable as anybody winning this division now. I mean, they're going to go to Corona Centennial next week. We'll just beat Modern Day in a great game. And, if they beat Jay Serra tonight, Aram, you're starting to see why not. They're a game away from Angel Stadium.
Right, and that's a pretty amazing thing. Fred, by the way, we want to welcome in Steve Ramirez, who just joined us tonight. We'll be talking to Steve here in just a second, about Lucerna's win over St. Francis tonight. But right now we're talking to Fred Robledo, who was at Bishop Amat's 24-17 win over Jay Serra in the second round of the Pac-5 playoffs. Freddie, Freddie, are you telling me that it was 24-17 and Jay Serra was knocking on the door for the tying score and Ahmad held him?
No. It was 24-10. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It was 24-10 with 6 minutes to go.
Okay.
And they're trying to make it a game. They've got 4-1 now. Ahmad gets. It was a big stop. I mean, in a game of momentum changes and everything else, I think all of the big plays they took advantage of. I mean, right before the half, getting the tying score. Coach Haggerty said that was huge because, they went in with a little confidence. He said that allowed them to come out in the third quarter with a little pep in their step, and they were able to get that, go ahead and take the lead. And then the interception, and all of a sudden they're up by 2 touchdowns, and you start thinking about it. And, afterwards, this team was as emotional as I've seen football teams. I mean, in front of their student section, the entire student section looked like travel tonight. They come in, right before the game. I don't know if they got off a bus or what. They just come in, hundreds of them, and they all take their seats, and they were loud throughout the game. Great atmosphere. Incredible. Aram, what did you think? What were your thoughts during it as it unfolded? I mean, we've been, since we've gone, to social media or the blogs or the internet, you've always talked about, when something like this happens, catch fire, and you get a team like Ahmad going deep, it kind of changes the landscape in the valley. And not only tonight, I can't remember the last time we've had this many teams in the semifinals, which is part of the reconfiguration for the division. But I think what we've got going on right now, Charter Oak in the semis, well, South Coast and Bonita, who would have ever thought those two teams would be playing each other in the semis? You got Northview against Pericles, Pomona doing their thing. Pasadena Poly, let's put it up. Still alive. I mean, this is unbelievable what we've got going right now.
Yeah, I think, in the case of Bishop Amat, this is extremely huge. I had always said, Stevie, that, the real proof positive of whether you belong in division or not is can you get to the semifinals or belong beyond. They're in the semifinals now. Obviously, that whole thing about them not belonging, I was, completely wrong about. I mean, maybe not up until this year, but this year's team has put that completely to bed, and they're obviously a special group. And I think that's the key thing, Fred. You had talked about how these guys were emotional after the game. I mean, obviously, I'm going to take your word for it. I mean, these players, this group of players, these two classes back-to-back, the juniors and seniors at Alma, they know what's at stake. They know, the history. They know what I say about them. They know what people say about them, beside me and stuff like that. They know what's at stake, and they know what they're playing for, and they are putting this program back on the map. And you just got to really take your hats off to them and the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, you do. I mean, because I think you and I both talked about this earlier in the year, and I think it was fair. We were asking, can Bishop Amat win it their way? And their way really is, building from the ground up, taking guys from their freshmen, bringing them through the program, and coaching them up, and trying to win that way. And we're asking ourselves, can you win a Pac-10 championship? Can you go deep when you're not playing the game the other schools are playing? Handing out the scholarships, tuition assistance, getting transfers in. Almont hasn't done it this way. These guys grew up with the program. This is a junior-laden team with some key seniors that's going to be around next year, too. I think you really have to give now, Bishop Amat, Coach Steve Haggerty, his assistant, their due for doing it their way. It may not be something, Aram, that keeps them there year in and year out, or maybe it does. Maybe this is what sets the stage for people who just want to go to Bishop Amat now.
Right.
Who want to be part of it.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's how it was back in the day.
I think you have to give those guys credit because they're doing it their way, and their way is showing that it's working at least this season, and they're building to something.
Right. Stevie, what were you going to say?
That's how it was when they were winning Division I titles,
90s and 80s.
The late 80s and
early 90s, mid-90s.
Early 90s. They were getting players from all over the valley and even a little bit outside the valley, like
what we would now consider Chino Hills.
Yeah.
This is a team where 4 players have left Alma to go to neighboring places, partly because of battling for position. But they've had 4 key players leave, I think, the last few years that have transferred in, which is kind of remarkable. I mean, this core that they have, right? Guys that have Camargo, Sweet, Vaughn, Sidney, include Damien Garcia. He's did a great year. You got Ryder Ruiz now, Anthony Camargo. I mean, their defense. These are a lot of guys that have grown with the program, and all of that hard work, all of that, you know, there are a lot of naysayers, including us, and including fans on blogs, who didn't think they can get it done at this level. I think beating Jay Serra proves they can get it done at this level.
Hey, Fred, last thing before we let you go. Ryder Ruiz at quarterback.
Let me go. I can listen to the show here.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Ryder Ruiz at quarterback tonight. You know, okay, so last thing about the Almach game. Ryder Ruiz at quarterback tonight. Obviously had a pretty, good game. You know, and he got the start. You know, we wondered all week, who was going to start, him or Damien Garcia. They went with Ryder Ruiz. It paid off. Freddie, from the sense you got, is this now officially his team, or does that job open back up this week at practice and Damien get another chance to maybe get in there?
You mean, no, this is Ryder Ruiz's team, I think, the rest of the year. You know, I asked Coach Haggerty about that after the game. How difficult was that decision? And he said, look, Damien Garcia's moment, until he got hurt. And right now it's Ryder Ruiz's moment. I think they're going to ride with that right now. Things can change, but I don't expect it to change. I don't know what this means. When the season's over, going into next year, you have 2 guys that are this capable. But I'll tell you what, Ryder Ruiz really impressed me. He's 4-0 now.
Yeah.
Since taking over. And he threw for, I think it was 216 yards, 2 touchdowns. He didn't make any mistakes. He didn't throw any interceptions. And he looked really, really confident tonight. He had a big 3rd down run. They faced like a 3rd and 8. And he had a big 13-yard run, scrambling, running through traffic. Something you didn't think that, he's really capable of doing. And he's just growing. The guy's got a good body, Aram. He's about 6'3". He really slings it. And, he has ability. And you're watching his confidence grow by the week. And he's more of, I guess, your prototypical quarterback or more than Damien. Damien runs the ball and he has a pretty good arm. But I think if you're evaluating both of them, there's nothing wrong with Ryder. He can throw the ball around, and I think they're going to be very confident going forward. But if you were worried about how much time they would have protecting him, they did a really good job protecting him tonight. And if he didn't get sacked at all tonight, Aram, and that was with them, bringing the house when they could. He did what we talked about. He got the ball away quick, and his receivers made plays, and they went to Tolegian's police a lot more than they did last week. I think that little balance really helped keep Jay Serra on their toes and allowed Alma to lose the ball.
Okay. All right, Freddie. Well, there you have it. Freddie's going to stay with us, on PrepXtra Live here, brought to you by St. Paul. We were talking about the second round and the teams that punched their ticket to the semis, and the teams, of course, that will be packing it in. Freddie, stay with us and feel free to jump in where you can.
I just listened in. The Bonita of Santos semifinal is shocking. Good for those teams.
Yeah.
I mean, those are 2 teams at the end of the year who are starting to ride out. One will Bonita even get the playoffs to, Los Santos will probably be a one and done. And one of these 2 teams are going to play for a championship. I think that's incredible. Yeah,
let's get right to the Central Division here, Stevie. Boy, oh boy. I got to tell you, this couldn't have worked out better for us, but it's happening in a way that I didn't really expect. We talk about Monrovia, the number 2 seed in the division. They lose tonight to Los Altos 45-35. Yeah. This was a game that Los Altos really controlled. Freddie mentioned it on Twitter. Los Altos has now just crushed the first 2 teams that's played in the playoffs. And look at them. They're in the semifinals for the first time since, the big time years in the Gano era. And they will be playing Bonita, which was an at-large team that had to get a coin flip just to get in. And here's Bonita. They beat West Covina tonight, 24-13, playing their best ball of the season. You go to the top of the bracket now. Glendora, Matt Fink played tonight, and from what I was reading from Tom Kiss, I guess there were three or so quarterbacks that played tonight. And Matt Fink, I really don't know what his limitations was or what his contribution was, but nonetheless, Glendora had tied this game at 27-all, and then and then Colony got the last two scores of the game to win 41-27. So Colony is now going to be on the road against Charter Oak. That's the game that I was at tonight. Charter Oak beat San Marino 49-31. Zion Echols 302 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns for Charter Oak. And what can you say? Big Lou back in the semifinals, back practicing on Thanksgiving, has a home game in the semis. What an outstanding division this has turned out to be, entertainment-wise.
Yeah, the way Bonita has played the last 2 weeks, and I'm kind of shocked. I'm not shocked that Los Altos beat Monrovia. I think I picked that. I'm just shocked at the score. I was thinking if Los Altos won that game, it would be a little bit more low scoring.
Right.
And but as they controlled the ball, that's just going to be a great game next week. Los Altos and Bonita is getting a chance to, I guess, to make up for the last time they were in the championship game if they can beat Los Altos. And and we've said all year long what a top team or a good team that Colony is, and so that's going to be a tough one for Charter Oak, but they're going to be at home. So.
Right. Freddie, you got any thoughts? Los Altos cruising right along here. I don't know. At this point, who do you feel confident betting against, Bonita or Los Altos? Did you want to come on and tell us about the game? Yeah. Okay. Stevie, slide over. There should be a chair over there, Jared.
You talked about earlier in the year how good Los Altos was, and I think they had some setbacks there earlier that were tough to take, and you were wondering if or when they would ever get going. They're playing now their best football when you're supposed to play your best football. And I think if you're just looking at in terms of talent, I think that's a team you're going to ride. I look right now at Bonita. I think you have to favor them. They just smacked Monrovia. That wasn't a close game.
Right.
They smacked Kaiser the week before. I think you would have to make them the early favorite. Although, Bonita beating West Covina, that's a huge win for them. But I just think that Los Altos right now, we talk about a team that playing with a chip on their shoulder. That's them. And this is what's great. You mentioned Charter Oak. What we've got going right now, 3 of the winningest teams, at least on our side of the valley.
Yeah.
Los Altos, 7 championships. Charter Oak with 5. Bishop Amant with 5. We've got all these teams still alive and playing for something. It's one of the better playoff years that we've had in the Valley for a long, long time. So look, I'll bet you Charter Oak's going to have their hands full with Colony. And I don't know what happened with Matt Fink tonight. I know he started. It sounds like his ankle probably flared up. He tried to give it a go. And give him a lot of credit. This is a kid who's already got offers on the table. People are chasing him. And it could have been very easy for him to say, screw it, I'm sitting out. I'm not gonna take any risks. But he went out there and he tried. He tried for his team. And I think that says a lot about him and his character. And it was just tough. Colony's a good team that ran into tonight.
Yeah, and we had Tommy Kiss and Courtney Ponce out there, and so we'll have video highlights of that. Right now we want to introduce Jared Pine, sitting on the far end here. Jared covered the Bonita West Covina game. Jared's a Bonita alum, we should mention. And so I'm sure, he probably, stayed impartial, but, I'm sure he probably at the end of the night.
Yeah, he's as impartial as Steve Ramirez is going.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
we check our alumni cards at the gate,
right.
basically.
I wish I knew what it was like to have this problem with Temple City, but, I don't. Anyways, Jared, talk to us about this Bonita game. Last week, okay, fine. They blew out Kaiser. Maybe they caught lightning in a bottle, but yeah, can they do it again against against a West Covina team tonight that, for all intents and purposes, I think everyone kind of thought was the favorite in this game. And here goes Bonita again, and looking at your tweets, it looked like they controlled the game from start to finish.
Yeah, and they really set the tone there in the first quarter.
Amazing.
Tanner East threw for 2 touchdowns there in the first quarter, and the defense just held on. They put 14 points in the first quarter, and West Covina puts up 13 points in the entire game. So that was it right there.
Wow. Can you tell us, does this team? Had you seen them earlier in the year at all?
Yeah, I went out to see them. I went out to see them playing the Smudge Pot game, and Verdugo win.
Right, and they
won that game there. And you look at Verdugo every time Bonita gets a big win, whether it's Kaiser or whether it's San Dimas, and now West Covina. He has a big game. He ran for 163 yards tonight and a touchdown.
Right.
Had a big catch for 66 yards on a 3rd down. That really put the nail in the coffin there for West Covina. That was one of the big moments in the game.
But what's put them over the top? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, they were always a good team. They always had, they had some good moments this year. But, to come out and kick Kaiser's butt and then to come out and control the game against West Covina from start to finish, is it because East is settled in at QB and now they've got, a pass threat to go along with Verdugo?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I'd say a lot of it is Coach Medrano was a defensive coordinator before he was the head coach, and so there's a big focus on defense there. Medina does a great job with his staff, and Cruz Garibay had a great game for them, and they shut down West Covina's run, and it looked like they did the same thing against Kaiser based on the stats. Their run defense is very good. And for Los Altos, that's going to be key.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be... does Bonita have a lot of size? Do you think they can... because Los Altos is going to bring a lot of size to the table. They're one of the more... if there's one thing they can do, it's play really physical and keep the game in a box. And it sounds like Bonita is liking that style of play now. Do you think size-wise they can match up to a Los Altos? I don't know if you've seen Los Altos.
Yeah, I saw Los Altos a couple weeks ago, and I think Bonita can hang with them. The first thing Coach Medrano said, first thing Coach Medrano said about Los Altos is they're tough. They're very tough, and he said they're disciplined in these things, and that's the kind of football that Bonita likes to play against. I think that's matchup-wise, that's going to be fun because Los Altos is going to run the ball, and Bonita's run defense is going to be tested again.
What's the vibe like from this team? Like when you're out there and you're somewhat close to them and you're in that community. These guys, you had mentioned it tonight. They're a coin flip away from not getting in. They get in. They're an at-large. They're on the road. How much are these guys enjoying this run that they're on?
Yeah, I think it's fun for them. I saw Garrett Pendleton on the sideline, and he was the starting quarterback in that 2010 championship game. He was pumped to get the win, excited for his guys, and Coach Medrano said after the game, the senior class, it was a team that went 2-10 in 2-8 in freshman year, and they've really. They're enjoying this shock the world kind of thing, and they've embraced the underdog role.
Did Medrano have any moments with the crowd tonight, or was the crowd, pretty thankful for the good head coach that they have there?
They have a great head coach there.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and Bonita fans can be a little tough, when things aren't going well, like any fan base. Yeah. So good for our boy Medrano. Man, JP, you can stick around. Hey, Freddie, you gonna give Jared the Bonita game next week?
What's that?
You gonna keep Jared on the Bonita beat?
I think Jared is Mr. Bonita Los Altos. But we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of matches next week, but Jared's part of the team. He'll be at a game next week.
Okay.
We've got a lot of games still.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure I know which one Jared wants to be at.
Northview's going to be at home against PrepXtra. That'll probably be at San Dimas, I'd imagine. Boy, did Pomona smack down San Dimas tonight. I told you Pomona's my favorite to win the division. I still stand by that.
Right. Okay, we're getting to that, Fred. So that wraps up the Central Division. JP, if you want to stick around, that's fine. If you want to jet, that's fine too. I don't know if you've got a date with the In-N-Out drive-thru, or if you want. Do you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want a jet or?
Sure.
You want to say okay? We couldn't keep Jared, folks. Maybe we'll have him back next week after he presumably covers Bonita against Los Altos.
Is that that game at Bonita?
Yeah. Where is that game? Does anyone know? Jared? Okay, it's at Bonita. So Bonita will host Los Altos in the Central semifinals. Wow, what an awesome scene that's going to be. Okay, moving on to the game that Stevie was at tonight. I don't know if this qualifies as one of the biggest upsets that we've had of the week because St. Francis lost its starting quarterback, Jeremiah Martin. But Lucerna, you just can't get rid of Lucerna. They were a second-place team out of the Del Rio League. They were in, obviously the championship game. The last 3 years, won it last year with Frankie Palmer. The year before, Frankie Palmer got there, so 4 years back now. They were in the semis against Bonita the year that Bonita beat them and went to the finals against West
This is their fifth year.
Fifth year.
I mean,
in the semis or beyond.
I mean, for the Whittier area, we've always kind of said the team of the area is La Habra or La Mirada. Well, now it's definitely Lucerna.
Slam dunk,
It's definitely Lucerna.
Slam dunk.
What they've done since Coach Beltran has been there, and you can say that this is an upset because of Martin not being there.
Right.
But Miles Bryant played as good as a backup can possibly play in a game like this.
Right.
I had him for 267 yards. He threw 4 touchdowns, two big bombs to Dylan Crawford.
So it wasn't him.
No, it wasn't.
Was it basically Lucerna? St. Francis couldn't stop Lucerna?
Yeah, they had no answer to stopping.
That is incredible.
Their wing T. I mean, like San Dimas runs their wing T. They kind of like the big play coming off the edge.
Right.
Lucerna, it's basically all inside.
Right.
And then when they suck you inside, then they come outside and get some big. And of
course Pacheco can throw.
Yeah.
A lot of wing T quarterbacks can't, but Pacheco can.
I mean, he only threw for 112 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. He threw the game winner from I think it was a 5-yard pass. But St. Francis just was ineffective in stopping him. And they did make a couple mistakes defensively. They had stopped him near the end of the first half, but then they had a roughing the passer, which continued to drive.
Right.
And Lucerna scored a touchdown and went up by 10 at halftime.
Okay, let's just remind people this is 38-35. Lucerna wins over St. Francis. Lucerna led in this game at one point 24-7, but Stevie 35-31. St. Francis took the lead late in the game. What happened at that point? They took the lead 35-31, and then what? Lucerna answered right back?
Yeah.
How much time was left?
They scored with about, I think, 6:57. So about 7 minutes left. So St. Francis got the ball back, and they were unable to move it. Bryant got sacked on a third and. What happened was it was 3rd and 12. The whistle blew, but then they still snapped the ball, and he got sacked. And the refs huddled and determined that the whistle blew, so they were allowed to rerun the play, and then he still got sacked. So then they had to punt the ball, and they drove down to the I think the St. Francis 37 and went for it on 4th down and didn't get it. So St. Francis still had the ball back with about 1:50 left, and I think on the second play, Bryant threw an interception, which basically clinched the game. And Lucerna ran out the clock.
Let me ask you about this scene there tonight, because I know Cal High is not a very popular place, for people to, go to when Lucerna has to host a game, and I understand that. What was the St. Francis crowd like tonight?
It was it wasn't full.
Okay.
But
St. Francis crowd wasn't full.
Yeah, it wasn't full. But
okay.
It was
wow,
because
I had heard that they were going to just pack the place.
That San Marino crowd.
Yeah, well, we'll get back to San Marino in just one second.
But the Lucerna side was packed.
Okay.
And it was both sides were well, I'll say this for both sides of the stadium, they were both vocal on what they considered bad calls.
Of course.
Yeah, so
let me ask you this. Lucerna's now going to host again next week?
No, they are at CV.
They're at Crescenta Valley.
Which will probably be at Glendale High School, I believe. Right. Unless, CV has also played games at La Cañada, so
I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, if they can beat St. Francis like this, and I know St. Francis starting QB was out, but if Lucerna can beat them like this, then you got to think they're capable of getting back to a final again and winning it all again. I mean, they may have to go through Cathedral. I don't know if Cathedral won tonight. I don't have the other scores in the division.
From what I had seen them earlier in the year, their defense is much improved, and they did have some blown coverages on those 2 big long touchdowns, but it was Dylan Crawford. He's one of the top receivers, so I can see how he can get open. That's going to be a good game next week. I mean, I'd probably pick them over CV because even though CV won kind of big tonight, they're very explosive offensively, but I
know Tolegian won big over Burbank as well tonight.
So
Tolegian, the at-large team, is now in the semifinals, and I don't have a Cathedral score, but I would assume they won. But nonetheless, man, congratulations to Lucerna. What a program Margarito Beltran has going over there, and tough break for St. Francis. I mean, they were going for something special this year. They finished 11-1. Maybe if Martin stays healthy, that this dream of 14-0 in a bowl game is still alive. But that's out the window now.
There were parts in the game where they were unable to move the ball, or that's when they got behind. So maybe if Martin is in there, they're not down by 17. And it's a different that's a different variable but there's no way to know.
As we know, though, Stevie, Martin doesn't play defense. And,
that's true.
And they had trouble stopping this Lucerna attack, which, man, I saw Lucerna be life and death to beat Cal High this year, and I was thinking in my head, they do what they do well, and I tweeted it out that night. I said, this team, I've seen the rest of the Southeast Division contenders beside Cathedral. I'd seen the rest of them, and this team on its night can win against them. They're not quite as talented as those other teams, and here they are. I probably wouldn't have thought they'd have gone this far, but here they are. Outstanding job by them. So Lucerna dances on. Now we'll move to the Mid-Valley Division. Freddie had mentioned it. Northview got a little bit of a game from Montebello for a while, but they pull away and win 42-24. They're going to play Paraclete next week?
Yeah, they'll host Paraclete somewhere. Probably
around,
San Dimas.
Yeah, okay.
But they weren't able to get San Dimas filled last Thursday. Okay. But maybe now that San Dimas is out, they will be able to get
Sounds like a Stevie special. Rosemead went to Sierra Canyon tonight and actually scored the first 9 points of the game and maybe gave an impression that an upset might happen, but ultimately Sierra Canyon wins by 21, 33-12. Rosemead's done. Good season, though, for Mark Paramo and the Panthers. And Sierra Canyon will play Pomona, in a battle of seeded teams in the semifinals. That ought to be fun. Hey, Freddie, your Pomona boys, you think they're going to beat Sierra Canyon too?
Yes, I think they'll beat everybody. The Paraclete win was impressive how easily they beat Minnesota. I kind of expected that. I think Northview is really going to have a tough time next week. I don't know if they've hit their ceiling yet. I know I picked Northview to go to the final and play Pomona at the very beginning. But that was with a little bit more heart than logic, looking for an all-area final. I think you're probably going to favor Paraclete in that game. But, hey, look, Pomona, nobody's stopping them, and these games aren't even close right now. And just watching some of Clay Fowler's tweets, he covered the game, talking about their athleticism and how they used it against Medina. I just think that they're a team in the mission right now.
So the defending division champs in the Mid-Valley is gone. San Dimas out in the second round. Kudos to Pomona and their players. They've had a rough go of it this year off the field. They haven't really been helped out by the adults around the program. I shouldn't say all of them because they got a coaching staff that's still there and still doing their thing, and they got a lot of support. They've kind of closed ranks, and wow, I mean, how can you not root for these guys? Pomona dances on in the Mid-Valley Division, and now switching to the Northwest, Maranatha goes down tonight to Arrowhead Christian. The Bogan Dream, at least for this season, is over. They finished 11-1. Arrowhead Christian wins 43-28, and Pasadena Poly they nut out another win tonight. Pasadena Poly beats Linfield Christian 20-11. Pasadena Poly now 12-0 and in the semifinals.
And I believe they're the only Pasadena area.
Yeah, they are the only Pasadena area team left.
So we have one Whittier team left in Lucerna.
Right.
And Pasadena Poly.
Right.
For Pasadena area.
Stage is set, man, for an epic semifinals weekend coming up this next week. And
I think I think this is Northview's first trip to the semi since '88. I could be wrong on that, but I remember them winning in '87 when Brian Beveridge was your coach, and they went to the semis the following year. And I don't recall them being there since. I could be wrong on that, but that's to my memory.
Okay, say again, Freddie. You were kind of talking while Stevie was talking.
I said, this is time to get up the history books. How long has the business opponent played for a title? I don't know they have.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I can't remember. I mean, maybe in the early '80s.
That's a Louis Brewster question, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, or maybe King McConnell. I don't know.
Hey guys, I want to thank you. I made it back to West Covina. You entertained me for an entire ride back from deep Orange County.
Yeah.
Go home into the blog.
I hope you have a hands-free. I hope you had a hands-free device.
Yeah.
What?
Did you have a hands-free device?
No, I grabbed the phone and I set it to my shoulder and I just started driving. Put it on speaker.
All right. Well, there you go. Thank you, Freddie, for joining us. We'll go ahead and hang up with you and wrap up the show on our own.
We'll have another show on Tuesday, just like we did last week. We'll do a semifinal preview of the 6 games that we have, and we'll talk all about them then.
Okay, Freddie.
Signing off. Great job tonight, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. Okay, so there was Freddie Robledo. He obviously covered Bishop Amont's win over Jay Serra tonight. That was quite the performance, quite the result by Amont. They are in the semifinals. Hallowed ground when you talk about the Pac-5 and how rugged it is. Stevie, I don't know. I mean, I guess we can do a biggest surprise, biggest disappointment tonight. We don't got a lot to choose from, so what
I guess the biggest surprise for me is that Lucerna beating St. Francis. I picked St. Francis, and after we found out about the injury, I thought the game would still be, and it was a great game, one of the better games I've seen. But you still had to figure St. Francis had enough with all their weapons. But props to Lucerna, But I just think for me that's a surprise. The biggest disappointment. That's a tough one. Maybe Maranatha losing.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there.
I thought,
even though I think for some reason I picked them over on Fred's blog in our little pick'em thing. That actually was a pretty difficult result for them. I mean, hard to be disappointed in the season that they had over there. I mean, Coach Bogan obviously has done a great job. He got them that playoff win, needless to say. My biggest surprise tonight was San Marino. Not the result of the game, but down by 11 with 7 minutes left in the game. They're at their own 43, 42-yard line. It's 4th and 9. They're not stopping Charter Oak at all in this game. There's 7 minutes left. You can't punt the ball in that situation. San Marino decides to punt the ball to Charter Oak. Couple plays later, Zion Eccles goes 83 yards for a touchdown. Now, if you're San Marino's coaching staff, you know why I've been hard on them. In years past, there have been decisions I didn't think made sense in losses to San Dimas a couple years back. And now you have this one tonight. Did it cost them the game? I don't know, but no one else does either, because you just don't punt the ball in that situation down 11. You're not. What can happen? Charter Oak can run a few plays, burn a couple minutes off the clock, and you get the ball back in the same spot that you were around midfield. Or Charter Oak can do what it did. It can score, or Charter Oak can keep getting first downs and run out the clock. Your best defense tonight, San Marino, and the coaches should have known this, was your offense. And that needed to stay on the field and see if it could pick up that 4th down and keep hope alive. And maybe go in for a score that makes it a 1-score game. Instead, they punt. Zion Eccles makes them pay, and that's it. Charter Oak advances. San Marino stays home. So that would be, my biggest surprise in that moment. My biggest disappointment, sticking with the Rio Honda League, Monrovia tonight. They were never really in this game against Los Altos. I know Los Altos is physical and they're good. Los Altos had done a great job for most of the game the first time these two teams met. But for Monrovia to not I think they were down 31-14 at halftime.
Wow.
To just simply get waxed from the word go.
They just couldn't stop them.
And I know Los Altos is very physical, but I also saw Los Altos last week against South Hills. They're not the most dynamic team in the world either. So, there you have it. I mean, it happens. But Monrovia, the number 2 seed in that division, you can sum this up by saying, looking at their 2 games in the playoffs, this was a team that got moved up from the Mid-Valley Division to the Central. They got the bump up, and they almost lost in the first round, as a number 2 seed to Don Lugo. And then tonight they're completely waxed by Los Altos. Not a good showing for Monrovia, which got bumped up, and this is what happened, when they did. So anyways, that'll wrap it up from here for us. Stevie, we got to do it all over again next week, but we're going to do it with fewer teams. Congratulations again to the teams that punched their tickets to the semifinals from Bishop Amat all the way down to Pasadena Poly. Congratulations to you, and you'll get that vaunted Thanksgiving week, Thanksgiving Day practice. That'll be awesome, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, and I think with Bonita and Los Altos, we're assured of someone in the championship game, which means we'll have someone at a team at the championship.
That's right, the banquet.
Championship.
That's right.
I guess it's more of a luncheon than a banquet, but still, that's always an exciting day for those players who make that.
Something tells me it'll be more than just one. So let's see what happens next week. Like Freddie said, we'll be back on Tuesday with a show, and hopefully to get everybody ready for the rest of the week and the playoffs. Short week coming up next week, everybody. So enjoy the talk over the weekend. Everybody get on the blogs, share your thoughts, talk your smack, cry me a river, all that good stuff, and we'll be back next week. Thank you.